Hey everyone. 1 2 1 2. Is it on? No. Is it on? Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Hey everyone. Thanks for dropping by. I'm Jeremiah, co-founder and CEO at OpenCover. I'm also one of the 280 lucky souls that got wrecked by the Terra UST DPEG in 2022, and then got unwrecked because I had DPEG insurance, or more precisely DPEG cover. And there were about 300,000 UST, or actually over 300,000 UST holders back then. So less than 1 in 1,000 had protection against DPEG back then. In fact, less than 50,000 wallets have ever purchased on-chain insurance. So despite the fact that off-chain insurance is pervasive, it's just everywhere, on-chain it's still relatively unknown. And that's the reason why we founded our company, to help folks stay safe on-chain. Last year, we covered over $200 million worth of on-chain risk, and this talk is really sharing what we've learned on our journey and how you can use on-chain insurance to reach your own goals. And of course, before we dive in, I do have to give a disclaimer. Insurance is a regulated term. It's a regulated industry. So many times when folks say on-chain insurance, what they actually mean is insurance alternatives, alternative risk transfer mechanisms that have the same purpose but are not regulated. So the term for those is cover. And so whether it's on-chain insurance or on-chain cover, it's non-regulated counterparts. The goal is the same, which is transferring away on-chain risk, smart contract risk, DPEG risk, governance attack risks away from the end user. And risk transfer has been massively important throughout history, right? It made oceans, cities, factories, space, even organizing this event, safe bets. And that's kind of what we've learned as humans in the last few millennia, that zero risk does not exist. However, if we mutualize risk, if we share risk, then we're able to build big things. So zero risk does not exist off-chain. It won't exist on-chain. That's why we have audits, security tools, best practices, and all of that. But really the role of insurance is to be that ultimate safety net when all else fails. And this is critical. It's a critical role in the sort of on-chain safety stack, because regular folks who don't care about the technology, who are not here to gamble, won't care that blockchains are more transparent, faster, global, programmable, all of that, if they're taking significantly more risk on-chain for things that they can do virtually risk-free off-chain. So we really need to be able to provide that same type of safety net on-chain as folks rely on off-chain if we want a wider adoption. And if you think of the main sort of overarching crypto risk, it's really four categories, right? It's custody risk, losing assets because a private key got compromised or stolen, transaction risk, which is typically getting tricked into signing a transaction that steals your funds, protocol risk, which is placing funds in a protocol that gets hacked or somehow has design failure, and asset risk, which is mostly stablecoin and wrapped assets losing their peg. Now, if we're talking about on-chain risks specifically, these are the risks that come from self-custodying assets and using on-chain protocols to do things like swapping, lending, minting, etc. And the main risks, the things beyond your control that you need to worry about there, are transaction protocol and asset risk. And of course, that's where on-chain insurance, on-chain cover comes into play. So if we start maybe with transaction insurance, which is an interesting one because it's sort of the least developed, the newest of the three. Yet we've seen very recently how important it is to take transaction safety seriously. For individuals, the main way to cover your transaction today is through a browser extension. You'd want to do this obviously to avoid signing transactions that you don't quite understand and losing funds in the process. So for example, this one is called Pocket Universe. It scans transactions before they hit your wallet, and if they fail to catch a malicious transaction, you're covered up to $20,000. If you're a builder or an institution, you can also integrate transaction cover directly in your product or in your operations via an API, which basically checks transaction intents, compares them to simulated outputs, and makes sure that those match before they're actually published on the blockchain. So you can have that same sort of like transaction firewall principle within your own product or within your own org. This is something that we were the first to offer, and I think we might still be the only ones to offer it. But really, it's a proactive way to keep your users and or your org safe, differentiate your product through safety, and most importantly, transfer actual or perceived liability in case there's an issue with one of the transactions that they're assigned through your product or by someone at your org. Next up, we have protocol insurance. It's the most mature product of the three. It's pretty straightforward. Whether you're an individual or a business, you purchase a policy on a given protocol for a given duration. And if the protocol gets hacked or incurs a sudden and severe economic event, you can then claim on your policy, like, for example, a liquidation failure, like Teddy was talking about. So here's an example of buying a 10,000 USDC protection on the Beefy protocol from Nexus Mutual for 30 days. It will cost about 28 bucks, it looks like. Important to note that when you buy this type of product, you need to be sure that you understand what the boundaries of the cover is, because, of course, in DeFi, protocols are composed, they depend on each other. So, for example, if you have a Beefy position that you want to cover, you want to make sure that you purchase a policy that also covers the underlying yield protocols. If you're a builder, you can also cover your protocol on behalf of your users or to protect your users. This is something that we see mostly in early days of a protocol, and that is to attract TVL by making it effectively risk-free, virtually risk-free, to participate in the protocol as you build a safety track record. And here, one interesting option is Sherlock, who don't just do audits, they also offer a sort of base level of protection of protocol cover once you hit mainnet, which you can increase, I believe, if you need more. And then last but not least, we've got DPEG cover, so same, pretty straightforward. You choose an asset, you choose a cover amount, you choose a duration, and if the covered asset's market price goes below a certain percentage for a certain number of days, you can claim on your policy. So this is an example in our own product. You can purchase USDS, a DPEG cover, and if USDS goes below its dollar peg by 10% or more for more than 7 days consecutively, you can claim on the policy. So really the only question left is how much do these cost? I'll share this on Twitter later on. But basically, transaction cover is typically single-digit BIP on the value covered for a given transaction. Protocol cover can start at 0.15% of the value covered for 1 year of protection, and can go up to 5% or even more in certain cases for newer protocols, depending on the underwriter and the actual protocol. And then for DPEG cover, what we're seeing right now is prices between 0.5% and 3.5% of the value covered for a year of protection, depending on the token. All right, I hope you enjoyed this short primer on on-chain insurance. I'll post a summary table on X, and if you want to chat more, feel free to reach out there on Telegram. And we also have a DeFi and risk learning group that we're organizing with Nexus Mutual and Native. Highly recommended if you are thinking of becoming active in DeFi or you are already active in DeFi. It's free to join. And in the meantime, if you have any immediate questions, I'd love to answer them. And thanks for dropping by.